Hi everyone, and welcome to this Ingewikkeld session. Today we'll be talking about AI. Now, of course, a lot has already been said about AI and how it will change everything for everyone. And I, for one, can finally see a path forward to my very own Jarvis assistant, just like Iron Man. But we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about what this means for you, a developer. So, what's the game changer with AI? The main thing is that unlike a Google search result, you can refine your question, and it can understand things beyond the context that you're asking it. Like in a real conversation that you can ask follow-up questions. That is a complete game changer with AI, and I'll show you how in a minute. But first, a short peek into the future. AI is moving incredibly fast right now, so I cannot possibly predict what is coming next. But I do know a couple of cool projects that are right around the corner. Microsoft is coming with a 365 Copilot assistant in their Office suite. And what that means is really cool. You can basically have a raw set of data, ask it to compile an Excel sheet from that, calculate trends, explain those trends, which is very key, then make a report about that in a Word document, send it to the directors, and then make a presentation for your fellow coworkers about that. And you can do that in the span of minutes, instead of where a data engineer would take a couple of days to do that for you. The second thing is Copilot X is coming soon. And that has ChatGPT-like qualities, but it's not here yet, so I cannot explain too much about it. But you can basically use it to debug your code, to suggest refactorings and stuff like that. But it's not here yet, so we'll have to wait and see. Another cool project that is right around the corner is AutoGTP. Now, it's already here in a sense, but it's still really buggy and it can get really confused really easily. But you can automate tasks like make me money. And people have successfully done so. But I cannot go into detail about that right now, but if you're interested, look it up. But what can I use right now? So for the last week or so, I've been experimenting with the current version of Copilot. And as it stands, I would give it a miss, because at its current price of $10 a month, it's a bit much. Basically what it is right now is an advanced autocomplete. So it will complete your code for you. And I can show you an example right now. So as you can see right here, I have a class and it will basically create a constructor for me. If I try typing a method, because I cannot type, it will try and guess what the content of that method should be. And it can also turn comments into code, which is the coolest feature that it has. The downside is that it's wrong a lot of the time, especially when writing unit tests. It will just guess based on what you've already typed, what it should type next. So if I have a method as day, it will then guess, oh, you probably want as week next, even if that method does not exist. It's really weird and confusing, and you have to correct it a lot of the time. But the big one is obviously ChatGPT. For the current client job, I've been basically programming on an island, and it was great to use as a programming buddy. Let me show you what I mean. It currently costs, the Pro version costs about $20 a month, which you don't really need, but for speed it might be helpful. So you can use it to learn new things. For instance, I had to brush up my Symfony knowledge a little bit, because I've been working on Laravel for the last couple of months. So what I did is I asked it to write a simple command that outputs the current day. And as you can see, it will say how to make that command. It will tell me where to add the command or all the code, relevant code for it, and it will completely output the command. Which is great, because now I can verify the data that it's outputted, because I already know how to do this. So then you can ask it to do the same thing, but for Symfony. Because Symfony is similar in a lot of ways, but also very different in a lot of key ways. So as you can see, it will output the same basic structure, but in a symphony way. And that's really helpful to learn new things if you don't know how to do them specifically, because otherwise you have to dig through layers and layers of documentation to find the thing that you were looking for, and you will forget that one key thing. It's a great way to brush up your symphony knowledge. I can speak from experience. Another thing you can do is ask it to explain a command and explain what all the different parameters mean. So you simply ask it, explain this command to me, and it will give the complete documentation of that command. And that's really helpful, and you don't have to look up a lot of stuff yourself. It's a really fast and quick way to find out what you're looking for. Now, there are obviously a lot of shortcomings here, because the model was trained in 2021, so anything after 2021 it won't know about, so it might also give you some suggestions that are out of date or already deprecated. But I expect that to become much better in the future. The next part, I won't show you this because I don't introduce bugs, obviously, but you can just feed it a snippet of code and ask it to find a bug for you in that code, or explain why it works the way it does. It's really helpful. The big thing I've been using it for in my current client job is writing unit tests. Now you can just feed it a snippet of code and then ask it to write a unit test for you. And the results are never perfect, but because it's an AI, you can refine the question. Like, I want to use data providers. I can just ask it, well, can you do that again, but use data providers? And it will update the previously generated example for me. Now, the obvious shortcomings here, it does not know about dependencies, but you can explain those dependencies. And it's also a very good smell test for refactoring, because if the generated test doesn't make much sense, then that's probably a good class to start refactoring. What you can also use it for is to write simple scripts. Now, I needed a simple backup script for my home server, so I just asked it to ChatGPT. Now, again, it took a little bit of massaging to get it right, but it saved me so much headache and so much typing to get the results that I was looking for. That's a trend that's often true for ChatGPT. It will get you about 80% of the way there. The last 20% you have to do yourself. But still, that saves you 80% of time. It's a pretty good deal if you ask me. The last thing I want to show you is how you can use it to professionalize your emails. Now, all this ingewikkeld session stuff took a lot of time. And I don't have time to write my own resignation letter. So I asked ChatGPT to do it for me. I just give it some context and it will just output the perfect letter for me. Bye, Stefan. Now, some final closing notes. Do I think that AI will make developers obsolete? I recently read a good quote on Mastodon, and I don't know who said it, but if I do find out, I will link in the description below. The value of a software engineer is in understanding the problem, not in writing the code, and I think that's very much true here. You should always use ChatGPT as a tool, not as a replacement of. And like I said, it will get you 80% of the way there, and you still need to do the last 20% of the work yourself. Another thing to keep in mind, though, is don't feed AI information that is proprietary, because you don't know how it's handled in the backend. You don't know who it's sent to, and it might get you in trouble. Now, AI can save you a lot of typing work, but always keep in mind that you should never ask it anything that you're unable to verify. A colleague of mine tried to use it to write regular expressions because he did not understand the regular expression himself. That's a bad idea, because if it goes awry, good luck debugging that. And again, don't accept a response at face value, but use it as a baseline, because it still takes some massaging to get it right. It might not adhere to all your coding standards. It might not be the best solution there is, but it will give you some idea of what the solution should be. Again, there are a lot of legal problems, but we'll talk about more about that in the podcast. Now, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask me in the comments below, and I'll get to them as soon as possible. And if you have any cool ways you've used AI, let me know as well, because I'm really interested. Now, this is all that I have for now. Please join us next month when Jaap talks about static analysis. And don't forget to subscribe to our Patreon and check out our podcast.